Good afternoon and welcome to today's Mavs Edge Internship Spotlight Panel. I'm David Powers, the Assistant Director of Internships at UTA's Lockheed Martin Career Development Center. I assist employers with developing internship programs and direct our Mavs Edge internship program. Thank you for joining us for lunch or by recording, if that's the case. We're very excited to welcome Gorman Trubitt to today's Edge Spotlight. Excited about the panel and the presentation. Jillian, before we got started, I was trying to think how long it is that you and I have known each other. I think you're one of my longest work relationships since I came to UTA in 2018. I guess we've been working together that long, right?
Yeah. It's been a little while.
Yeah, you guys have been a great partner. I know you've often hosted on-campus interviews. I'm sure you probably took part in Firm Night recently. And have joined us for a number of events. So I'm excited to have you here today to do a deep dive into the internship program. We'll do more official introductions and meet Victor as well just a bit later. But please, if we're getting started, if you're just joining us, use the QR code that you see on the screen to check in. So we'll know that you were here. We are tracking attendance. You can begin sending questions at any time through the Q&A feature, and we'll address some of those questions near the end of the presentation. But before we get started with questions, I wanted to give Jillian an opportunity to talk a little more about the firm, about the internship program. So I'm going to turn, after we do introductions, I'm going to turn things over to her. Jillian, would you care to give us kind of an official introduction and we'll get to Victor?
Yeah, definitely. I'm Jillian Hawkins. Like David said, we've been part of the EDGE program for a little while now. I've been with the firm for, it'll be 10 years this season. So, I've been overseeing our internship program for quite a while. We've had a lot of interns come through and a lot, who are still with the firm. So we always love to see that. I'm from Arlington originally, so always love to connect with Mavs. And let's see, I'm our HR manager. So I do a lot of recruiting as well as, benefits and just kind of whatever else needs to get done at the firm. But we have an awesome class of interns this season, Victor being one of our audit interns. So I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jillian. So my name is Victor Carranza. I am a UTA student. I am a senior. I actually came across this firm through Jillian. She did reach out we have a Teams channel at UTA. She went ahead and posted that she was looking for interns. So I went ahead and applied. Recently started here about a month ago, and so far I'm loving it.
Glad to hear that. Thank you for the introduction, and like I said, thank you both for joining us today and making some time. I know it is a busy time of year, but as I mentioned before we get started with questions and taking a look at any student questions we might have, I did want to give Jillian an opportunity to talk a little more about Gorman Trubitt and the internship program. Jillian, if you want to take it away.
Yeah, one second. Let me get my screen going here. You see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So yeah, if you haven't heard of us, we're Gorman Trubitt, or LGT is easier to say and remember. But we are located in Dallas. We're in the Uptown area, if you're familiar with the area at all. But we were founded in 1950. So we've been a one-office firm in Dallas ever since. And we are a mid-size regional firm. And with when Victor started in January, we actually had 20 people start that day, which is a lot for us. And now we're about 140 people. So we're the biggest we've ever been, but still, that kind of medium, middle market size. I think when I started with the firm 10 years ago, we were about 70 people. So it's just been, good steady growth since then. We are part of the Prime Global Alliance. So while we are just one firm here in Dallas, that gives us a network nationally and even globally of other firms we can reach out to as resources. I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly so we have plenty of time for, questions and everything. But if anyone has, any more questions or wants any more information at the end, definitely feel free to ask. But we, service all types of different clients, from individuals up to public companies. with our sweet spot kind of being in the middle there with privately held businesses. I think we have like 2 public companies, so not a huge part of what we do. But definitely during the internship, you get to see, a wide range of different stuff, different sections of the audit, different types of tax returns, types of clients. You're not just working on one really large client the whole time or for months and months at a time. You're getting to see a lot pretty quickly. And kind of our main bread and butter services are your traditional audit and tax services. We do have a smaller consulting group, really small, 4-person financial advising group, as well as some specialized tax areas. And then the main types of clients we serve are auto dealerships, construction, healthcare, nonprofits, manufacturing, and real estate. So we try to get you to see, as many of those as possible during the internship and even your first few years as staff. Again, so you're not just doing, nonprofit the whole time or real estate the whole time. You get to kind of bounce around until eventually folks tend to specialize in 1 or 2 areas of their choosing. And then a little bit about the internship. Typically we do spring internships. It's busy season. It's when you get, the real busy season experience. There's a lot going on, plenty to work on. We offer internships in tax or audit. You do have to make that big decision because they don't cross over at all. They're all intern to hire opportunities, meaning, the internship's kind of an extended interview for a full-time offer. So at the end of the internship, we always meet with everybody and we love to extend full-time offers, and we're super flexible with that. If someone needs to go back to school for a year and finish that up and come back to us, or if they, go home Friday as an intern, come back Monday as full-time, it's kind of, flexible to your schedule and your plans with school and everything. I'm going to talk a little bit about some different networking opportunities in a minute. But the internship runs kind of the second week in January through about the April 15th deadline. Again, kind of flexible with the end date there. And then just a few of our different career development and benefits that, we have all your standard traditional benefits, but a few that I really like and I think are kind of unique. We do on the full-time side have our study hall program, which is basically paid time to study, whether that's for the CPA exam or for if you need any more classes to get your eligibility. It ends up being about 100 hours a year that you're can use and get paid to study. So who doesn't love that? And then once you are eligible, we do what we call a CPA bank of $4,000 you can use for study materials, exam fees, kind of cover all the costs associated with that because it's kind of expensive to become a CPA. And then whatever's left over once you pass is yours to keep as a bonus. We do tuition assistance as well. We have super flexible hours with COVID and everything. We've been doing what we call a hybrid schedule for the last year or so, where most folks are, in the office 50% of the time and working from home about 50% of the time. It's kind of departmental. Our auditors are getting back out in the field, so they're typically working out at client sites unless the client, doesn't want them out there for whatever reason. And then we do have intern living expense reimbursement. That's a lot of words for basically a stipend. So if you're having to travel to Dallas for the internship, it covers up to $500 a month for mileage, or if you're having to get an apartment in Dallas or something like that, just to kind of help offset any expenses, to actually get you to Dallas to work for the internship. And then we do have what we call dress your day dress code. It's pretty casual. You can wear jeans in the office every day. And then if you have a client lunch or something, you just dress up a little bit more on that particular day. And then a couple of our initiatives I just wanted to highlight. We do have our newest initiative is our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We actually have a speaker here today that's right across from my office. So if you hear any clapping or anything, that's what's going on. But we did a field trip to the Holocaust Museum recently. We did an international potluck where people brought, all kinds of different foods for us to try out from different countries. And we have several speakers and newsletters that go out on different, holidays and kind of giving the cultural history. So it's been really fun to participate in that. I can't remember. It's been almost a year since we started that, and we're real excited to see, where we go. And we also have a welcome committee and staff advisory committee just to kind of make sure our new folks are settling in and that they're being welcomed and getting what they need. We do have a formal mentor program on our full-time side. We also have a wellness program that does different events. We've been doing virtual yoga. One of our financial advisors is a yoga instructor as well, so she'll do Zoom yoga for us, and we sponsor some different 5Ks. I think I have some pictures on the next slide. Volleyball team, and we're real close to Katy Trail, so we've had a run club out there, but that's been growing as well. We've probably had that in place for 5 or 6 years now, so always fun to kind of add to that too.
Could use all of that. I should be doing all.
And then another great program is our Young Professionals group, which interns are way more than welcome to join. It's for anyone below the supervisor level at the firms, kind of our younger folks, but a great way to meet people in other departments. It's audit, tax, consulting, administrative, everyone's welcome. So great way to meet people. We'll do different like networking events or have speakers come in. I know we did one on like LinkedIn and how to, level up your LinkedIn recently. And then there's social events like happy hours. They have a volleyball team, a soccer team, all kinds of fun stuff. I know they went to a Cowboys game semi-recently, and then they also do a lot of volunteer events in the DFW area. So great group to get involved with and kind of do more than just come in and pound out some tax returns and go home and that's it. So great way to meet people there. And then just some different organizations that we've done volunteer and networking events with. We did raise over $7,000 for the North Texas Food Bank. We did a big backpack drive this past August for school supplies. We ended up making 70 backpacks full of supplies. That's my favorite one. I love doing that. And that was actually in partnership with a client. So just different things, love to get involved with there. And then this is my like brag slide. We've won some awards recently, been named to several like best companies, top places to work type lists. And I'm really proud of these because basically it's a third party survey that surveys our employees. And then all of these are based on employee feedback. So being named to these lists means our employees are saying great things about us. And that's always, awesome to hear. And then a few more just photos of some different stuff. We do a big cornhole tournament out at Clyde Warren Park in the fall. Audit usually goes to the opening day for the Rangers game. There's a picture from our international potluck that was delicious. We're doing a Topgolf like into busy season party this year. You can kind of see the office there in that new hire meet and greet. We did a huge renovation. It's been a little over a year now that it's the same building, but in the new space. Renovated space, and it is just beautiful. Like every single thing is new furniture, new technology. So been exciting to get to enjoy that as well. And then we're on all the social media sites. You can see us out there, find us out there. And then we are looking for spring 2023 audit and tax interns. That is posted on Handshake. You can apply and there. We'll be on campus for interviews March 16th, so kind of coming up in a couple weeks here. And then I have mine and Victor's contact info on here as well. So I can leave this up for a little bit, or David, you just let me know. But sorry if that was really fast. I was trying to cram in a lot of information and not take up too much time, but that's a little bit about us.
No, that's fantastic. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind to leave that up, I think that would be great.
Okay.
Have a chance of folks to have a chance to capture that. I had so many questions as you work through it. Thank you for taking the time to share the presentation, because that
Of course.
really gives me and it's cool to see it, because that's what we want to do in these spotlights is provide a greater sense of what it's like to be on your campus, to be a part of the team there. So often I spend time talking with internship host sites when they put their position descriptions together, and they oftentimes don't include all of these kinds of things, that you offer to get involved in. The focus on professional development, the mentoring, the young professionals organizations. Those kinds of things are really attractive and really important to students, and it kind of ties in to what we hear so much about now. I've heard it called several things, but the war on talent, and what the market is like right now. How would you describe, Jillian, what what that market looks like. I mean, I hear stories.
It's crazy out there.
Well, and that's really what I hope that you might reinforce. And I mean, I'd heard stories about students receiving multiple offers and maybe not, in some cases, not necessarily handling the competition, and I guess the handling those multiple offers properly, right? I don't know if you're seeing any of that, or if you've seen anything over the last year that's really changed in terms of the high demand right now, what that looks like for you guys. Would you like to speak to any of that?
Well, the good news for y'all is it's an employees market. So y'all picked a great major, accounting. There's so many jobs out there, so many firms, especially in the, Dallas DFW area. There's just, a ton of opportunities. So it's hard on our side because we're all, fighting over you guys, but good for you because there's tons of opportunities. But yeah, we've definitely had students with, 5, 10 offers, and it's so hard to like narrow down the different firms. So that's why I think, communication's key, trying to figure out what your priorities are, what you're looking for in a firm, asking a lot of questions, just communicating. If you're, not interested in a firm anymore, letting them know that because they're talking to other people as well. If you are interested, awesome, stay in contact, ask your questions. I think just get, as much information as you can to help kind of narrow down that list.
Yeah, thank you. I also noted, some of the other cool things that you all are doing, and I was curious if it was maybe in response to either to that climate or to COVID, but the hybrid work schedule.
Yeah.
If that's something that you guys hope to maintain, if you see it being permanent. I know you said some folks were kind of getting back out in the field. What do you think that's going to look like?
I think it's pretty permanent. We were doing a renovation that just happened to coincide with COVID. So we were all going to be working from home anyway, because we were under construction, but we were all home for like a year and a half, 2 years, and then opened the new office back up and kind of started trickling back in. And then this past summer is when we were like, okay, we want people here, 50% of the time. Some people are here every day and really enjoy being here every day, and that's great. But I think a lot of people really enjoy the flexibility. I myself am like a 50-50 person, so that's perfect for me because I live further out, so I don't want to drive up here every day. But it works great. We have all the technology to make it work. I don't think that's going anywhere. People really seem to be liking it. So I see us doing, hybrid for forever. But and Victor can talk a little bit about this too, but we did training at the office in person for about 2 weeks, I think, when they first started out. And with interns especially, I think it's really, and new hires in general, I think you need to be in person, for that first little bit, just to get a feel for the people, be able to ask questions, get your IT help, whatever it is. So that was important to us to do that in person, obviously with safety precautions. And then audit, Victor can probably speak more to this than I can too, but we did have clients that, they were shut down or they didn't want us out there. And again, we have technology to do everything virtual, but I know they've kind of been going out in the field more the last, year or so, getting a little bit more back to normal because our audit, interns and staff were typically in the field like 90% of the time prior to COVID.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And the cost of transportation, I know, is becoming an issue for folks. And I think everyone in every sector, in every field, has looked at remote work. And, the pandemic has had everyone kind of examining work-life balance and all those kinds of things. Victor, I know we've name dropped you a few times, called you out, so I don't want to have people waiting any longer to speak to you.
I just wanted to say no one likes to commute, so that flexibility is definitely a plus for any firm. But here in LGT, that's definitely a plus.
Right. Yeah, I'm from a rural area of Kentucky where there really was no commute. So I've learned a lot about how important that is, right? I mean, as part of your day, that you've got to kind of factor that in. And for interns, I mean, it can be challenging. Transportation can be challenging. So it is an important consideration. Would you care to tell us a little about your role and responsibilities there so far, and maybe just talk about what your experience has been like, and we'll get into some more specifics.
Yeah, for sure. So I would say my priorities here at LGT is just first learning how to do the work that they gave us, do the assignments, learning the culture, learning how to speak to individuals, our clients. Maybe we're talking to the controller, the CFO. Just really know how to communicate with them well, know how to take what we got from them and take it to our supervisor or manager and just let them know what's going on. I would say that's the main priority. Just they want us to learn as much as possible. They don't tell us to do something and just do it without them teaching us why we're doing it in the first place, right? So that I would say that's the main priority. After that, I would say, us helping, we have what's called an in charge. They're the person that leads the project for the week or the 2 weeks or the 3 weeks that we're in it. The assignments we do, we want to complete them and leave them in good shape where they go over those assignments and they review them and they don't have too much trouble. Instead of them taking a week or two, kind of like we did, they only take maybe a day or two. So we just want to go ahead and do that for them. And during that process, we obviously reach out to them, for help, like, hey, I got stuck in this part, can you help me out? Or can you go ahead and, let me know what route to take? Can you guide me a little bit? So I would say that's definitely the priority. So far, I've been here for a month, and I can say I have learned so much. It's funny because I joke about it, but sometimes like my head hurts just because so much I've learned. But I go back home and I tell myself, it's good because I'm learning so much. I'm coming across different things I haven't seen before or past jobs or past internships I've had. And it's definitely a good, a big learning curve. But once you're getting through it, it feels awesome because you're completely person from when you started.
It's great to talk to you so early on because so many students come into an experience like this. I mean, it's intimidating, right? It's a lot. We always used to say it's as though you're drinking from a fire hydrant those first, maybe the first couple months even, or just depending on your role. What's the best piece of advice you could give to a student who might be starting an internship or who may be a little hesitant about taking the plunge in terms of what was really helped you think helped you get off to a good start? What was the most important thing you thought to focus on to get started?
So I would say the best advice, and you could relate this, like students could relate this to any internship, any job, but my advice to you will be don't stress. I mean, the employers, the people here, they don't expect you to know anything because we don't, we really don't know anything. They don't expect you to come in and know the accounting software and jump in like, yeah, I got this, don't worry. I'll come back at you at 4:30 p.m. and I'll let you know what I did, whatever. No, that's not it. And I feel like I'm guilty of it because I did stress the first 2 weeks where we were going through training and they were putting all this information in our brains. And I was like, whoa, it was an overload. So stress got better of me, but that would be my recommendation. Don't stress, take it day by day, reach out to, the younger folks at work. In this case, I will reach out to staff, just ask them like, hey, I'm really confused. And they will tell me it's okay, don't worry. The actual work is a lot easier in training. Those were their words, and that felt me that made me feel a lot better. So that would be my best piece of advice. Just don't stress, don't overthink, and just show up on time, take good notes, and that's pretty much all you can do.
I really like the take good notes piece. I think sometimes we don't think about that. Doesn't transfer over from classes. I mean, it's really important to. There's a lot coming at you, so you need to show up, with something to record that with in a lot of cases. Otherwise, you come back with a lot of questions, which is okay.
Right.
Which is okay, but it's better to get those questions answered the first time around, right? And you said you've already learned a lot, and you've already pulled a lot from the experience. Could you talk about some of the things that have really made an impression on you in terms of what you picked up so far?
Sure. So what I would say one of the biggest impressions I've had right now, I'm working with one of the guys. His name is Jack. He's a senior 2 at LGT. This Monday and Tuesday, we went to the client's office. They're here in Dallas, and this client, their niche is investments. So these guys are super smart. They know what they're doing, and they're trading stocks, right? And you're just like, whoa, these guys are making money, whatever. So we were in a room, and me and Jack, and the CFO would come in and he would pick up conversations with Jack, and Jack, they were just talking normal, right? Jack was answering all his questions. Jack knew exactly what he was talking about. And to me, I'm like, whoa, this guy, Jack, he's maybe 5 years older than me, 6, and he's talking here to the CFO, and he's pretty confident in what he's talking about. And I want to get to that point, right? I want to be like Jack someday, or like a senior 2 or whatever. And I know I will get to that point by just getting so much exposure, getting all this experience, and going into spaces where I might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I'll definitely come out with that experience under my belt.
Yeah, confidence builder, I think, is a big piece. Learning how to network, and how to spend that time that you might get with folks that work at that level. Is a really important piece in the internship. Can you talk a little about, I guess the other piece before you even get started? You got the job, congratulations, right? But what was the application process like? And how do you feel like do you have any tips for preparing your materials? What do you think worked really well for you in that whole application process?
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of like you guys were talking about it, kind of like Jillian said, it is an employee's market. I definitely think there's a lot of employers looking for students that just graduated. The first piece of advice I could give is apply. I know there's a ton of students who just don't apply. Friends of mine or students I have in classes, I ask them like, hey, you're finishing your accounting degree, your finance degree, what are your plans to do after? And they just tell me, I don't know. And to me, you dedicated 4 years to go to school and you're not applying. So first thing is apply, reach out. UTA has a lot of events where employers come and visit us and they tell us about their company, their culture, and all of that. Go to those events. That's what I would do. I will visit those events and compare the companies and see, does this one align with my values? Does this one not? What do I like about this one more than I do for this other one? So that's like the first 2 pieces of advice I would give. The second one is whenever you do apply, feel free to reach out to a recruiter. I remember Jillian went ahead and posted a message in our Teams channel for UTA, and I reached out to her, and it was a week had passed and she hadn't responded yet. She was probably just super busy or busy like interviewing other folks. So I went ahead and reached out to her again, right? I reached out to her again and she responded right then and right after a few minutes. And she told me, yeah, we can set up the first interview. Great. And we did it. So, don't feel scared to reach out twice. It's okay. I would say even feel free to reach out to them through LinkedIn. Maybe if you just have general questions, or when does the interviewing process start, or when they're going to go ahead and open applications. So that's definitely something you guys can go ahead and do as students.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know everyone feels a little differently about how they want to be contacted. I know, and that's so I'm really glad that you shared that. I've had recruiters say on any given day I may have 50 LinkedIn requests to connect, and those messages, you can't flag those messages, or at least I don't know how to flag those messages. So it's hard sometimes to know if you've responded to people or not. So that's a great tip. And I know that can be case by case in terms of how recruiters use those tools. Jillian, would you like to kind of maybe speak to that in terms of outreach?
Yeah, I was going to say, especially with like smaller firms or mid-sized firms, I always kind of say like all roads lead to me. So if you apply on Handshake, it comes to me. If you apply on LinkedIn, it comes to me. So you might as well just email me. Or, all of those are great routes. But, I like when people take the initiative, email me. I remember getting your email, Victor, and just being like, hey, are you taking interns, or what's the timeline look like, or here's my resume, let me know what I can do. And some people might respond back and be like, oh, go apply on Handshake. But either way, with us, like, we're small enough, and my team is me and one other person that handle like campus recruiting. So she and I will reach out and oh yeah, we look at the resume. Oh yeah, we'd love to set up an interview, and then hopefully get that going, that week or the next week. So we move pretty quickly, and there's not a lot of like red tape, which I know with larger firms, there's going to be, more channels and more red tape. But like Victor said, I recommend, trying to reach out to a contact, to a recruiting contact or HR contact. And even if you're not sure if it's the right person, just saying, could you route this to the right person? Love seeing initiative, and we're looking for people too. So when they just show up in my inbox, I'm like, great.
Right. Yeah, that makes it easy. I guess, right? Right. That's really great stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Because again, you hear a lot of conflicting advice about how to go about that. So that's really interesting. And another really common question that I received that I know is hard to answer specifically, but students always ask, what kinds of characteristics do you look for in a potential intern? You know, what is there anything that I can do, be, or present that will give me an edge over, you know, the competition? So is there anything in particular, Jillian, that you would say that stands out to you in the recruitment process or that you look for specifically?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like Victor said, we don't have a ton of expectations as far as like technical knowledge goes. We know you're gonna need training and have questions and all that stuff. So we're obviously, we're not big on like GPA, you have to have a certain number or whatever. We just require that you've had intermediate 2 before you start interning, just as a good like basis. And then if you've had your audit class, even better. But those are the only kind of hard requirements. And then after that, I really think it's more the intangible stuff like personality and, enthusiasm about the job, looking to stay in public accounting and looking for that, full-time career. Like we're not just looking for interns to come and intern for a season and that's it. We're looking for people to stay long-term with the firm. So we do, what is it called? Like mini review during the internship. And a lot of the things on there are like teamwork, dependability, professionalism. Victor's out at clients, he's representing the firm. So we look for a very professional presence, communication skills. And then there is, one thing for like technical, how are they doing on the job? But everything else is like that, other stuff that makes a really great intern, a really great employee.
Thank you. And Victor, I know if I remember correctly, I did stalk your LinkedIn because that's what I do, right? I mean, it's research. It's not stalking, right? And I think you've had multiple internships, if I remember correctly. And I was curious what you feel like has maybe, helped you maybe stand out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, just like I said, mentioned earlier, joining clubs. The first internship I had was with TD Ameritrade. It was 100% remote. And I came across that internship through our finance society president, Tao. She was actually working there at the time, and she brought in a manager to do like an event or come visit our society virtually. And he just talked about TD Ameritrade. He talked about the culture. He talked about what interns do. I thought to myself, this seems like a great company. So I went ahead and applied, used Tao as a referral, and that's how I got it. So it was that simple. You just got to, take some time every day, take an hour, visit the event, and then reach out to someone that might be already an intern there or an employee or past UTA grad and tell them, hey, I use your referral. Can you refer me? And,
you hit the last piece is the important piece is you never know where that important connection is going to come from and who it's going to be, right? So seeing your classmates as potential connections at some point and nurturing those kinds of relationships through clubs and organizations, critically important. And I know so many students, you've got so much going on. A lot of times it's tough to invest time in those kinds of clubs and organizations, but your network, I mean, you hear all the time that the old statistic that 80% of positions are filled through referral. I mean, it's through word of mouth or someone knows someone. I can't tell you how many developing internship programs when I've spoken with someone who said, well, our internship started because so-and-so's niece or nephew needed an intern. They're looking for an intern, and it kind of grew from there. So it's important, those relationships, word of mouth referral is without a doubt important.
I will say the one like technical thing I could tell you that we do use Excel a lot, and that's, very accessible program. So if you wanted to like brush up on Excel or get an Excel certification, that's the only like technical advice I can give you.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. I mean, I had a question. I had a kind of a flip side question in terms of, what you can do to stand out. Jillian, what do you see in a lot of the talent out there, the folks that are interviewing, that you would discourage?
I got you.
That you would. What advice would you give them? What habits or behaviors should they stop maybe doing, right?
Sure. I'm just thinking back on all the, like
You
hundreds
got a
of
lot of
interviews
stories.
I've
That's what I'm
done.
trying to do. I'm trying to get you to tell all those.
And a couple that, stand out for maybe not the best reason are one person asked me about our Houston office, which we don't have an Houston office. And that's just a very basic, like, could look that up online. And then they only wanted to work in Houston. So then we had like nothing to talk about. So just doing your basic homework, just knowing a couple of things about the firm. Love when people have, I guarantee you every interviewer's last questions, like, what questions do you have about the firm? So you just want to make sure you have a couple in your back pocket, even if you know the answer. Just a few questions to like show interest, or if you really do have things that you're, wondering about or want more information on. And for that, usually, I'll tell people just comb the website and find a couple things and just say, hey, can you tell me more about this program or, this thing that I saw online? And then, it's hard to not be nervous. But at least on our side, like our interviews are very informal. We're trying to get to know you, get to know what you're looking for, and just give you information and get information from you. So obviously it's hard to just say like, be comfortable, relax. But it's not a life or death situation. Like it'll be okay. I think, you can take a deep breath before and just look at it as an opportunity, that goes a long way as well.
Yeah, do your research is huge. LinkedIn, I mean, there's ways to do that on Handshake. You can do that on LinkedIn. You can do that on the company website. I mean, there's just so many sources. There's really no excuse for you not to have good information, about the employer. And you made me think of something. It's I guess fair. It's fair season, so fair etiquette is kind of on my mind. I was curious if either of you might have some tips for how to be successful in that situation. Victor, I saw you shake your head. Did you attend any fairs or have you had any experience there you'd like to share?
I actually wanted to go ahead and add David up to what Jillian was saying about like researching the company. That's definitely very important. But if anything, like I mentioned before, we have a lot of events where employers come visit us and they spend about 30 minutes to an hour just talking about what they do. Take notes whenever you interview with them. Just read off from those notes. Come up with questions, and you're golden.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Anything regarding the fairs?
I can't say anything personally because I didn't visit job fairs as much as like individual events with employers coming to UTA.
Right. Individual events have worked better for you. Jillian, anything you'd recommend to fairgoers?
Gosh, I never went to a career fair when I was in college. Don't tell anybody. And now I've been to like 1,000. But I would say, just don't be afraid to go up and ask questions, even if you've never heard of the company. People come up and just say, hey, tell me a little bit about your company. What kind of students are you looking for? What opportunities do you have? I always say the more information, the better. I know there's like, going to be 50 companies at the fair or whatnot, but just don't be afraid to ask your questions there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Something else we talk a lot about is your elevator pitch, and how to have that conversation. I was curious, when a student steps up to you in line, what are the critical things that you want to know about them? What should they include that would be helpful to you in that conversation?
Yeah, honestly, for us, like a lot of the career fairs are more like networking. Like we're there to give you information and ultimately to get you to apply to the position, which then we'll see your resume and can, hopefully your resume will have, that information on it. So for us, it's just, meeting people. If you make a good impression, that's awesome. If I talk to people at the fair that I'm like, oh yeah, like that person was really great, I'll, write their name down. So I remember when I go look at the applications, like, oh yeah, I met Victor at the fair. So, for us, it's more like informational, but we definitely, take resumes. And a lot of times if we're looking for like full-time positions, that's when I'll say like, oh, make sure you email me and remind me that we met at the fair so that we can get the ball rolling on that. So yeah, I would just, be sure to have resumes with you and, to follow up afterwards, whether that's an email or applying on Handshake or whatever that, next step is.
Yeah, that's great. And a great piece of advice to remind folks, where we last met, and what the last conversation was, because you do see a lot of people. I can only imagine. It's really helpful for students to understand your perspective when you're on these circuits and you're going to all these fairs and different kinds of events. I think it's just helpful to understand what a day in the life
Yeah.
is
I
like.
tell people, I'm like, email me and say, hey, we met at the fair.
Awesome. Yeah, no pressure with this question, Victor, but I was curious if you've had a couple internships, so I know the answer to the question is you would encourage students to get an internship and to participate in an internship. But I guess could you sell us for the students who are watching on why they should engage in an internship, what you feel like the value of it has been for you personally, or that you could see down the road?
Yeah, 100%. So I would say, for example, to relate it to what I think, so I interned with the Ameritrade for a year. I started out with LGT, and I did an internship for a summer with First United Bank. All of that added together was what, a year and a half, and by the time I finish this, it will be 2 years. So let's say I would have finished college, right? I would have done my 4 years, and then I would have started working. That's 2 years. So let's say I finished, averaged what, 22, 23. I'll be 25. And then by 25, I'll be like, okay, I know what I want to do now. I want to do this instead. Or you're starting at 25 instead of you're starting like right after college. So internships definitely give you a good view of what the work you're doing looks like, if whether you're happy with that work, if you see room for growth, and it gives you an idea of what you want to do for your career. Internships are 100%, the door that opens and lets you know what you'll be doing at a specific job. And whenever you have more than one, or just a job, you're able to compare and see where you were happier, where you saw more room for growth, like I mentioned, all of that good stuff. So internships are definitely awesome. They're great.
Yeah, that's.
I would say to piggyback off of that, that I always say that internships is much for you guys and the students as it is for the company. So like Victor said, you're testing out, do I like public accounting? Do I like audit? Do I like Dallas? Do I like LGT? That's a 3-month time for you, kind of low stakes, to figure that out and see, if you could see yourself doing this, professionally for years to come. And also, we don't do a ton of entry-level hiring outside of our internship program. So that's like your foot in the door for that full-time, offer as well.
Yeah, that's really good information. And Victor, going back to what you said about experience, I mean, I hear so many students, you hear so many young professionals, shouldn't just say students, young professionals complaining about, they want experience. Of course, you want experience if you can find, staff out there that have it, or candidates out there that have it. So, I mean, internships are a way to get, what you say, almost 2 years of experience at this point. That's super. One other thing I wanted to mention, because LGT does so much in terms of professional development. I know you've just been there a month, but I was curious if there's any programs you've engaged in at this point, or anything that you're looking to do as part of your experience there.
Sure. Specifically with like my career, or just like
career? I mean, all of it. Yoga, running. I mean, I was pretty excited about all of that. I mean, it kind of made me feel like I needed to do a little something.
Yeah, I would say what comes to mind is just networking. Like for example, I go to UTA, right? So maybe like joining clubs. I know networking here is like key to success, or just key to getting like to know your colleagues, know your clients, all of that. It really helps you know how to break the ice, how to spark up a conversation. So definitely, I want to continue that within my personal life, or within as a student. I would say networking is definitely something like I see here outside of accounting, where like I want to get better at this. Yeah.
Thank you. I know, Jillian, you mentioned that you are still recruiting for a couple roles. I know we have information in the chat in terms of, I think, just about everything. I mean, we've got links to the website, links to your handshake site. We've got overview videos. We got all kinds of cool stuff.
I forgot until we were talking about it. I threw a link in the chat to our, it's a YouTube video that I had to make when we had the new space, but no one was in the office. And so we were doing a bunch of like Zoom interviews. I was like, well, how are people going to see our like awesome new $1 million office? So I had our marketing group put together this video, so you can kind of get a look around of what the new space looks like. So I was like, oh yeah, that's why I have that. So I threw that in the chat too.
Very cool.
And it worked, because I watched it before coming in. So that's
we worked hard on that.
Yeah.
I'll copy and paste those links and share it in our team channel as well. I think that would really be cool to see. Is there any events or anything you've got upcoming that you'd like to promote before we close, Jillian? Or
We were at firm night the other week, and then we'll be on campus for interviews on the 16th. Those are on Handshake, so you can apply. That's for spring 2023. And then what else? I would recommend, if you're interested, to follow us on LinkedIn, because that's where we post a bunch of stuff. We're doing some intern spotlights posts, so you can see, I believe Victor interviewed for one, so his will be posted eventually on there, so you can check that out too. I think that's it.
Awesome. And as we wrap up, we did have a student question pop up, and I want to make sure we get that in. It's pretty kind of very straight to the point with this question. They didn't mess around. I heard that an accountant usually has a very heavy workload, can tend to work a lot of overtime. How would you describe the work-life balance overall? What's that look like?
Yeah. Public accounting, like, it is what it is. There's going to be, some days that are longer than others. I think for our size firm, we're very manageable, and we try to keep it manageable because we don't want our people going crazy. So interns, it's full time, but we keep you right at 40 hours, maybe 45. There's like something you really need to finish. But no crazy hours for interns at all. And then even our full-time folks, during busy season, we require 50 billable hours a week. So they might see like 55, maybe 60 with like a big deadline, but you really don't hear those like 70, 80-hour horror stories that you maybe have heard to spark this question. But we really try to keep it, and with the flexible schedules, we have a lot of people with families, a lot of people with little kids. And if they need to go pick up the kiddos or go to a soccer game or whatever, great. And then maybe you hop on your computer later that night. We've always, I feel, really embraced that. And like, it's accounting, if the work's getting done or not. So as long as you're getting your stuff done, we kind of don't really care like when you do it, or have a lot of, micromanaging time on that. We don't have required like weekends or anything. Most people do end up, working a little bit on the weekends during busy season, but after that deadline, it goes back to, 40 hours a week, and it's very seasonal, and when your busy time is, and when your vacation time is.
Right. Yeah. And it just like every position has its peak times and its high volume times. So, I think you would expect that in just about any role. And I don't know when the student may have joined us, but a lot of really cool things. When you check out the recording, a lot of cool things to get involved in outside of work. I mean, you can't have all of those programs and
if there's no time to do any of them.
Right. Not have time to engage in all that. I mean, we're talking about basketball games and yoga. I mean, running. It's good stuff. It's all really good stuff. Let's see. I was gonna wait to see if we had any other questions pop up. But while I am awaiting those last second questions, I want to thank you all again. You've really been fantastic. I appreciate you spending your lunch with me. It means a lot. There's a lot of really good information you provided. And I want the folks watching to know that there's a lot of information in the comments section. So visit there for links to the website, overview videos. You've got contact information. My LinkedIn is there. Do you all mind if I share your LinkedIn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna paste those in and put those in they are now available in the chat also. So a lot of good stuff there. If you're not with us live, we're going to be sending this to the Teams channel, to YouTube, to LinkedIn as well, so you can catch it there. Please share it. Thanks again to the panelists. And check the company out on Handshake. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having us.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
Semester. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.